Hello, and welcome to the Be Formless, Flow Driven CEO and VC podcast, where we are reshaping life, leadership, business, and investing. And I am welcoming to the show. I'm going to say this morning for you, Danny Cohen. Welcome to the show, Danny.
Thank you. So good to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. It's 10:10. And so are you feeling 10 out of a 10 when it comes to energy levels right now on a Monday morning?
Absolutely. Yes, all of the above. And I also brought coffee with me just to make it 11 out of 10, so
Love
that's
it.
okay.
I've been watching that coffee and I'm like, that is my favorite coffees in terms of just like a black coffee like that. It just looks delightful,
Yeah.
and it does gives you such the hit, right? I love it. It's Monday evening here, 4th of May. Danny, you are based in Tel Aviv in Israel. You've clearly had there's a lot been happening over on your part of the world. How's everything feeling in Tel Aviv right now?
Right now, everything is great. The weather's good. There's a ceasefire, which is fantastic. Hopefully, that will last forever.
Yeah.
And the energy of innovation and startup and investing is all-time high. So we're good.
I love it. I love it. And it's just such an innovative place. I had no idea until I started talking to so many different people, and including yourself, from in the last 12 months. And I'm just like, gosh, so exciting. So let's get on into it. You are the co-founder and general partner at Sticker VC, and it was started just on 18 months ago, started of 2025. So a post-COVID, I call them post-COVID babies because I have been speaking to a lot of people who have started businesses post-COVID, and it is a whole new world, right? When you think about pre-COVID, in COVID, and then post, there's just so much that's evolving. And so Sticker VC focuses on early stage companies and the often underrepresented B2C landscape within the Israeli ecosystem. You just gave me a stat, and I'm going to set it up right up front. You said you have 130 investors in your fund, and of the 130 investors, there's two women. We're not going to go into it right now. I'm going to keep talking through your amazing bio. Huge stat though, right? Like in terms of the fact 130 investors in your fund and two women. We'll come back to that in a second. You
We
operate
will.
in a market globally recognized for deep tech and enterprise innovation. Danny's and your team's work centers on a different challenge, and that's backing and building consumer-driven businesses where behavior, brand, and market awareness play a critical role in success. And I just think this is really important right now because there is so much conversation around the tech revolution, deep tech, and yet the consumer-driven businesses, it's almost like there's this renaissance. And so what are we doing with these consumer driven businesses when it comes to brand and market awareness, et cetera? And I'd love your thoughts on that. At Sticker VC, you work closely with founders, not just on capital, also on navigating the realities of category creation, where demand isn't always established and companies must shape both product and market simultaneously. Your perspective highlights a key tension in venture that while some ecosystems are optimized for certain types of innovation, meaningful opportunities often exist in the spaces that are less understood and less crowded. I'm going to hand it over to you to tell us, because tell us a bit before you came into
Yeah.
the.
First of all, Beanie, the way you read it and the way you say it, I want you always near me telling the story. You tell it better than I do. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. I'm a big fan of someone's brand, I think it's really important to share people's story, and I don't think we do it enough. So hence why I do like to share and celebrate it at the very beginning, because I think it's important for you to hear it back to yourself as well. I should also say, sorry, you're the father of four daughters. I shouldn't say girls, four daughters. So we
Yeah.
will put the chat.
There are four women at this point in my life. There used to be four girls. Now there are four women.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. So briefly, kind of my story. I grew up in Israel. I did spend time in the U.S. when I was young with my parents. I went to business school at INSEAD in France, and then post business school, year 2000, I joined the venture world. I spent 12 years in one of the first Israeli VCs called Gemini. Then with them, I moved to Silicon Valley for a few years. So I spent time there. And then moved back to Israel and moved to a different fund, the largest VC in Israel called Viola, which is a multi-stage, multi-asset, very large fund. And I was general partner in their early stage fund. And I was there for almost, again, 13, 14 years. I saw this consumer opportunity, and I always had the passion and experience in the consumer world, and I thought that there was an opportunity to start a consumer fund in Israel, and here we are today, pushing Sticker forward as the number one consumer fund in Israel.
It's amazing. Can I ask, how did the name Sticker come about? Like, yeah.
Yeah, so we were first of all, it was hard because uh, I had hours with ChatGPT to find a name, but you look for a name that is easy to pronounce, that there's a domain. That's really hard. There's no other VC on that name. And I don't know how we got to Sticker, but I'll say three things about Sticker. One is stickers make everything personal. So it's a very consumer product. People love stickers. People put stickers on their laptop, on their guitar cases, on their desks. So and I've always been like a huge lover of stickers. Two, we look for sticky consumer product. So it kind of works well with stickiness. And then on a serious point, post October 7th, which was a big kind of a difficult day here in Israel, memorial here is done by a lot of stickers. People promote kind of the memory of their loved ones with kind of stickers. And we thought that's kind of a little touch or something
Yeah.
on the memory of October 7th. So it's a combination of fun, business, and something kind of Israel related.
Purposeful and impactful and, yeah, beautiful, and everything that we do, and especially when it comes to, consumer is all about a story, right? And then you make it personal around October 7 and, the stories that people are sharing on such a significant day. I love that. I love the purpose and impact behind it. So there's so much in story. Tell us, so consumer, I was saying to you pre-show, I think we're at a point, well, my personally, I feel like we're at a point where we need to get more focused on consumer and more focused on the market, the awareness, the brand, more than ever with all this tech revolution coming through, and I'm not suggesting that you completely go anti-tech at all. It's just that if we're not careful, we could lose choice of, like lose our own choice of brands and what it means from a consumer brand perspective. Where do you think we're at right now from a, especially given that you're focused on, B2C and for with the consumer lens as such? What are you seeing?
So two, yeah. So one, look, the tech revolution. We're not tech, right? The opposite. I think what's happening is the tech revolution is creating a huge change in humanity, and
Yeah,
that change in how we work, how we live, how we shop, everything. That's a huge opportunity
yeah,
because think, how much time we spend on on this AI stuff, which is something that did not exist 5 years ago. So it feels the internet was a huge driver into consumer change, and I think AI is a huge driver to consumer change as well. But the other side of it is that we humans, we're not AI. We still are emotional, and brand will always exist because at the end of the day, we have emotions towards stuff and feelings and stories and so on. So I think in this crazy world of tech change, it creates a huge opportunity for new brands and new opportunities.
what sort of new brands are you seeing, Danny, coming through? I mean, you said you've got your 130 investors in your fund. What are you seeing? Like, what's exciting? What's coming? Like, what's different? What's changing?
Yeah. So first of all, there's so many things, but I would say there's kind of I'll put it in two or three buckets. One, I think fashion is changing dramatically, and I think there's an opportunity for new fashion brands, and people are looking to
Need 'em.
find what's that?
Said we need them. I was only having this conversation on Friday around need some new fashion brands. What happened? I mean, this dress is from like 7, 8 years ago, but it's crazy. It's got all these different. I'm looking for, authentic, eclectic stuff, and I'm just not seeing it at the moment. It's become quite beige. So sorry, I get excited about this.
Yeah, no. So I think we just looked at a potential, children's kind of fashion brand that we thought was very exciting, and of course, and we are investors in a great brand called Archie and Dennis, which is a men's fashion, and so there's great things around that area. I think the other is wellness, right? And there's, I mean, look at the Grun's exit at $1 billion, right? Everything around supplements and
Mm.
functional drinks and all that area. I think there's so much to do there, and there's so much need. By the way, we're seeing a big push into specific women related stuff, talk about, girls and so on. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity around women's health, women's wellness, and everything in those categories. And then the other side is, look, AI is a big driver for a new type of services and applications that will disrupt existing markets. And those are pretty interesting also.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Tell us a bit about the only two women in your fund, and why. What's your view on, father of four women, daughters, and why? I don't like. It still baffles me because
But
you're
I'll start from a different direction. There are four of us in our team. It's me and my co-founder, and we have an analyst and a head of operations, and we also have a venture partner in New York. So five of us, but two women, and they're just spending time. The two of them, the two women, on in a course of investing for women, which I think is a big category. And I think there's more and more women going into investing overall. But I think historically, in a lot of homes, right, the money or the money management or who runs the money, it was a lot of times, the responsibility was on the man's side, right? And I think that needs to change. And the change needs to happen where the family decides to invest in a venture fund, that decision will be driven from the mo- you know from the woman, not the man side of it. And I
Mm,
think that's not happening enough.
no.
I hope that we'll have many more women investors. Again, these are all private investors. By the way, on the LP side, there's a lot of women that are kind of GPs on kind of fund of funds. And so there you meet a lot of women. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people that do that.
Yeah. It's not us versus them at all. Like, I'm not suggesting it's male versus female in any way, shape, or form. It's just it's just fascinating coming into this space and then reviewing the stats and seeing the stats. And you just kind of go, how do we break this down? How do we make it, you know, how do we bring more women into it? What do we need to do? And as women as well, like, what is stopping us? Like, so we're sometimes our own worst critiques. You just called out, we've allowed, the husband to make the decisions or the partner or whatever. And yet, as women, we need to be more confident. We need to come in and go, no, I want to know more and I want to understand this more, be more proactive in that space. Do you know what I mean? And especially when it comes to
Yeah.
investment.
I would say another thing, though. Let's talk about women entrepreneurs. We invested in 12 companies. We have 12 companies in our portfolio. We have two female CEOs. Now we're going to make our third. So that's 25%. Or yeah, uh, that's not bad at all. That is above average. But the reality is that there's not enough, and I
Mm.
think that's something that we need to push as well. And we need to have more women taking leadership roles in companies, starting companies. And by the way, you see the difference. You see the difference when a woman entrepreneur does a pitch, and a man, when a guy does a pitch, it's different. And people need to understand that a little bit and be conscious of it.
I couldn't agree with you more. I was just saying to you that I was just reviewing. I'm doing a pitch tomorrow, and it's with three guys and myself, and it's that male female energy piece, right? And it's just like we re-see things differently to what males see things, right? And so there's just this kind of different observation. There's this different lens across things, and I think the two can work really nicely together. I think when you've just got one of all male energy or one of all just female energy, you miss a beat. And I think that when you can interconnect the two together, I think you can be a real dynamic force, because I think you just bring this different lens across things. Do you agree, or like, what's your view on that?
I agree. I agree 100%. We brought an analyst to our team, and as I said, head of operations, and the fact that they're both in our it's a small team, but there are four of us in the Tel Aviv office, and the fact that we're 50-50 and we sit there together, I think it changes the dynamic so much. And our analyst, I joke, she's same age as my oldest daughter. And I joke that, when I'm at home, my daughters make fun of me. Now in the office, she makes fun of me. So I'm covered all
Yeah,
24/7. So that's good.
totally. Totally. And tell us a little bit about early stage companies and the focus on early stage companies. What are you looking for at that such an early stage of a company? building. And I know, and just like also from an, I guess your culture is to fail fast, keep going, keep going, keep going. Like I've spoken to a lot of people, like I said, out of Israel, and you've got this amazing resilience and this amazing strength. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think first of all, the good thing in Israel is that we joke everybody here is either before a startup, in a startup, or after a startup, right? It's like so innovative, and it's a good thing because Israel itself was a startup, right? It was a dream of Jewish people 100 something years ago, and the dream come true of a Jewish state here in Israel. So I think that part is really deep, deep, deep in the culture. Look, I joke the world of VC is simple, right? We're looking for two things and two things only. We look for great entrepreneurs, and these are people that are success driven, that are willing to give it all, that they have a purpose in life, not just to make money, and we're willing to work at it 24/7. So that's one. And two, we're going after markets where we think there's a disruption and opportunity. As long as we focus on those two things, good teams on big markets will make money.
Interesting you called out the 24/7. It's, from someone, who experienced severe burnout when scaling the company, the previous company I was in over an 11-year period, and some weeks it was 80 to 100 hours a week. Some days I'd go 3 days in a row of just no sleep. You'd be like, well, you'd go home, you'd have a shower, and you'd be back again, and you'd be presenting, pitching, all of that sort of stuff. I don't know how I did it now because sleep is so important, right? I was pretty good at averaging, 3 hours a week. It's interesting as a founder now myself and having that experience of burning out, being super successful and, this continued conversation around you have to work hard, and I get it. It's just a challenge I have, and I'd be interested again to see if you have this with any of the founders you're working with, is I can't work 24/7 like I used to because I get a handbrake that comes on and it stops me and says, "No."
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think we have founders that are experienced, that are doing their third or fourth company. They're maybe toward the age of 45 or 50, and they don't work 24/7. But I think they have a more mature view on what needs to happen. But then we back entrepreneurs that are 20 something, and I'm telling you, I think I expect them is to the fact
Yeah,
that they're not experienced is I want them to, when you're 20 something, you can sleep 2 hours a night or not sleep at
yeah.
all, and that's the time where you give it all you've got. And I do think that if people are like that, I think the chances of success goes higher.
It's a good call out actually, because all my lived experience, I would probably I'd do things a little bit differently. I had all this energy. I still have all this energy. It's just a different kind of energy and I'm wiser, and I know when to push myself, if you like, and when not to. And it's the ability to be more strategic, less.
I agree, but I'll tell you that's true. But there are things that you can be strategic and smart and experienced, but sometimes you just give it out. You got to give it hours.
Yeah, you do.
You won't be able to start a great business and work on it 2 hours a day. It won't work,
No,
you know?
I agree. And then also, Danny, in terms of like early stage companies, at what point did you go, it's time to call it in terms of this is not going to succeed, right? There's kind of lots of different philosophies on, it can take 2 years, it can take 3 years, it can take 10 years. Do you have a point
It's
of
not,
view on that? Yeah.
I don't think it's a question, for me, it's not a question of time. It's always a question of money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why do companies end, right? They end for one reason and one reason only, when they're out of cash. But
Yeah.
as long as you have more cash to run, you run.
Yeah.
And I think when companies run out of cash and they need to fundraise again, that's the moment where you got to put your house in order and you got to see, is
Yeah.
did I build something of value or not? And look, I think one of the challenges for investors, especially in Israel, which is a small market where you know everyone, is when you have a company, they're running out of money, you're the investor, they come to you and they say, uh, I want give me a little bit more money because there's something here I can't raise from anybody else, but please give me money. And you say, no, if you can't raise from anybody else, you're not going to take my money either. And then those are hard conversations. But I think expectation is that when you need to fundraise, you have enough people that will back you. That's a good sign that you have something of value.
It's also it's backing you, and it's also like managing your cash flow, right? Like, don't you think there's an element of that as well? Like, being able to, it's not your money. So it's also like the ability to.
Yeah, that's true. But I think what founders need to understand also is that they're putting in their number one, the most sacred resource for them, which is their life. And what happens sometimes for entrepreneurs is that they manage cash well, they're break even. So now they can go forever. And they go for a long, long, long time. And they don't realize that they've just wasted the best years of their life on something that will never work. And that's another conversation to have, is to come to an entrepreneur and say, look, I understand you're break even. I understand you don't need money. Are you sure you want to continue going this? Because you're before you know it, you're 55 and then
Running like
what?
that. Yeah. It's a good call, actually. It is a really, and I guess that's why, and I completely agree on the money aspect, but and I think that's why I was calling out time as well, because it's time and money. It's like in terms of personal investment.
You're right.
I think you have to call it time at some point if you're not growing. Like, I see some businesses where I advise and I'm like, you've been running this at the same year on year for like 10 years. What's going on? And it's like this, and they're still saying they're a startup. And I'm like, you're not a startup. This is a 10-year-old
Yeah.
business. It's not, like it's just
Yeah.
not. So what's actually happening underneath this? Danny, I want to come right back to.
Yeah,
Sorry.
sorry.
No, you go. No, 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 keep going. What were you gonna say?
No, I just want to say that a lot of times I tell entrepreneurs, remember that you and your company are not the same. Meaning you can live beyond, you have a life after your company. And that's also something to remember and understand.
Do you think entrepreneurs understand that? Do you think that they do when you explain that to them?
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Look, now I started sticker and it was funny. I was thinking, do I want to put a sticker tattoo on right here? Because I was thinking of getting a new tattoo. And I
I
was like,
love it.
oh my
I'm thinking the
God. No,
same.
I like, what's that?
The same. I call it body art. I mean, like seeing all these beautiful, and I'm like, my dad doesn't even know I've got any. And like, if I got one where you could see it, he'd be like, "Wash."
Oh,
Anyway,
God. Remember, uh, remember first time I went, my mom, she passed away, but she was my first tattoo. What's on your leg? What is that? What's on your leg? Sorry, sorry. That's
anyway, I
a
love
different
that. So
discussion.
true.
No, but I was just because I now think that sticker is me and I'm sticker. But again, remember the sticker will have a life, hopefully, beyond me, and I will have a life beyond stickers.
Mm, mm.
Try to think about that as well.
Do you see yourself as an entrepreneur as well, Danny, in terms of with sticker? Like, yeah, do you see yourself as that also?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. This is so different than being, and I was a senior partner in two funds. It's not the same at all. This is totally, it's like first few months when we started, it's like, I don't know, will this work? Will we be able to raise money? And then, can I pay salary? Still our fund is small. I don't get paid at this point, maybe in the future, but it's absolutely, this is an entrepreneurial story. And I had to recruit my entire family to stand behind me and understand that we're going through, interesting times, hopefully
Well,
good
it's
ones, but
Yeah, it's a sacrifice. When you go from, and it's something we don't talk about enough, I don't think. And, I haven't had this conversation with anyone, even from a venture capital perspective, when you become an entrepreneur and, in terms of sticker VC and, you go from this big salary, like it's just kind of a check that comes through regularly. And then you invest in your own business and you're pouring your own personal funds into it to build it. And like you say, you've got to pay salaries, you've got this to do, and then you're not paying yourself. It can mess with your head, every now and again, and especially if you've got a family. I mean, I don't have any children. I have my dog. It's a psychological game though, right? Because you've got to make sacrifices, and your ego is saying, "What's going on here?" Like, you're doing all this work and ego's saying one thing to you and you're battling your ego. And I was having this conversation with someone earlier today, actually. I've got this new routine on a Monday to smash myself through to start for the week, just to go no to any bad vibes. And I go and do like a hot strength cardio class first thing on a Monday morning, just to not let any little things start to kind of, because as an entrepreneur, it
Right.
happens, right? Don't you think?
I agree 100%. But I want to say the joy. There was a um, my previous fund, Viola, and they were fantastic. They were great fun, and they were big fun. They just moved to a new office, and their new office is beautiful. And I went to see their new office, and it was really just fantastic. And then in the afternoon, I went to our office, which we were sitting at some shitty WeWork. Sorry, right? And I was going in. It was like our first day at this shitty WeWork, and I went into the WeWork, which is ugly, ugly. And I just came back from this fancy office, and I was like, "Oh my god, or my WeWork, it's so beautiful. It's amazing," because it was mine. So,
Yeah,
uh,
very different.
it was a big, 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 big emotional moment.
Yeah, I like that. Kudos to you. I think it's good. I think it's great that you, and I actually think it, what do they say? Entrepreneurship is a superpower, and I don't think it's for everybody, and it is because it's all the feels, all the waves, all the rides. At the end of the day, though, like you say, when it's yours, and again, you have to separate it from personal life at times. When it's yours, though, it's yours. You get to, I guess, make this as amazing and as possible as it possibly can be. That even makes sense. It's really up to you, and that's where the grit, the resilience kicks in, and the ability to get up each day, even on the shitty days when you're just like, you know what I mean? Like, and I guess that's probably, now that you've got the entrepreneur in you, you probably, are you connecting? But do you think you connect better with the founders in your like? Do you connect better?
It's a good question. Yes, although at some point I don't think they care. I told them, "Oh, I'm a startup too." It's like whatever, they don't care. I do think that the one thing, and this is a little bit different direction, but I think we connect to them a lot because of the B2C consumer story. That's what
Yeah.
happens. I think the fact that we are consumer focused, I think for them is like, oh, you understand me, or you're like, or I'm not, like they're not the side dish of the fund. They're like the main dish of the fund. I think that's what really makes a big connection.
Let's talk about that, Danny, because I was going to come into that and I knew you'd bring it up. The B2C to consumer, it's, for me, story is so critical, and quite often you'll see, when it comes to brand, when it comes to a product or a business, and especially in early stage, how important is story? Because I quite often see, different businesses, and they're at their early stage, and I'm like, what does it mean for the consumer? Like, there's no connection to the consumer, right? And here you are focused, your fund is focused on the consumer. I mean, these people are in that space. Do you see any, like, is there any disconnects that you notice that you think that needs to be more proved on? Like, what's the
Yeah, I mean, I would say three things on what you said. One, first of all, for us, I think it's so clear when we have this strategy, when we have our consumer strategy, and the story is very clear. It's everything comes together, which is just fantastic, right? Because when we think about our new office, it feels consumerish, right? And our brand, and so once you have a good story, I think everything falls into a good place. And for our companies, I would say one, there's some people that are really good at storytelling. They're just good at it, right? So they just have it, they're natural. And some people are naturally not good at it, and you see the difference. And I think people need to be, sorry,
that's okay.
aware of that, and to get help or advice when they can to improve their storytelling. But the third thing I would say is that the one thing, and talk about tech versus consumer, the big difference is that we want our companies to be very distribution oriented. We want them to think about go to market, and story is part of it. But what's your edge? How are you going to get customers in a cheap way? What's your edge on that? That is kind of the wider spectrum of what we're looking for, because that's really what makes kind of the best companies out there.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think we're going to see more and more of that, Danny? Like, do you think that you're like this is just the beginning of like what you've created with Sticker VC? Do you think we're going to see more and more of these type of funds and what you're investing in come into
Yeah,
play
look, I mean,
as we
look,
go
I mean,
forward?
the startup. Yeah, because I think, we look at venture capital the way it was, when I started, it was a very small industry and VCs were just invested in whatever is out there on innovation. And I think now there's so many entrepreneurs and now with AI, we're going to see 10 times more entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs need more money and innovation economy is global and growing very, very fast. And there are going to be more funds going after innovation economy. And for us, we need to differentiate by offering something very specific. And for the entrepreneurs, they want people that understand what they're doing.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Are any of your daughters like are they moving into the same sort of space as what you're in? Are any of them
Only
following you?
one, only one. At this point, that's what I think, but we'll see. My oldest is a social worker. She's doing unbelievable work, really unbelievable. God bless her. She's dealing with the difficult life of humanity, the difficult parts of humanity. My second daughter is university. I think she has a passion for things that I do. Then the two younger ones, we'll see.
The biggest couple of final questions for you, because I know it is Monday morning, you need to get into your day. What are you seeing as the biggest opportunities in the total, like from all the years and all your experience? What are you seeing as the biggest opportunities in the VC? Let's say the collective ecosystem. What are you seeing as the biggest opportunities right now for, I guess, given we're in such like a revolution, what do you think still
Yeah.
needs
So
evolving?
yeah. So again, I kind of mentioned that. I would say like the big two things that are happening is AI is changing how we shop and how we work.
Yeah.
I think how we work is something that has not made an impact yet, and that is going to make a huge impact on humanity. And that's going to create a whole type of new jobs and new type of companies. So that's for me is the most fascinating, and it's scary also. But I think that I really think humanity will prevail and find new things to do. So we'll see. So yeah, we'll see a lot more creativity. And then on the flip side, completely, unfortunately, I think we live in a world that is a lot more chaotic and there's a lot of opportunity in what's called defense, which I have no passion for. But governments are spending more money you know on military stuff, which is sad in my mind. But that's another opportunity out there. Not for me
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's defense and then you talk about humanity and it's kinda like the 2 don't really go, hand in hand.
I look, I'm a believer in humanity. I'm a believer in creativity, in art, in music, and that's what makes me happy. And that's what I want to spend my time with.
What's your favorite m what's your favorite song? Like, what's your favorite music that you love listening to get you
Oh
going?
my God, yes. So I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan. Yeah, I've been there. I've been to close to 30 concerts for them all over the world. So yeah, so I had to pick one song from there. Is probably I'll say, Alive because I'm alive and I feel that what I'm doing is I'm touching.
So
So there you
good.
go. A little bit cheesy there, but kind of connecting all of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a little bit of a listen to Pearl Jam. I have not listened to them for ages. I've never seen them in concert. Every
I know,
time
I know. Yeah, they come. By the way, they come to Australia a lot. You should. There's some of the concerts I saw them were really some of the most joyful moments of my life. I got to tell you.
yeah, it's a bit like me with U2, actually. I'm a big fan of U2. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I've been to every U2 concert here. Oh my gosh. Annie, we could keep talking. I am going to let you get back to your day. Alive is such a great, optimistic way to start the week, and just a reminder to everyone. It is what a time it is to be alive. No matter how much craziness there is in this world, I think when we stay present and we stay focused on what's in front of us, the ability to get up each day and be doing what fulfills us, and it's absolutely testament to you with Sticker VC and just the energy that it feels around it. And you obviously you've got this great newsletter that I read last week, and I could feel the energy coming through that as well, just in terms of from a consumer and yeah, B2C and everything else, and what you're doing with your fund, etc. How do we find out more about Sticker Ventures? How do we find out more about you, Danny?
Yeah. So just sticker.vc and you find look for Daniel Cohen or Danny Cohen sticker on LinkedIn. Danny Cohen alone is not enough because there's too many of us, but Danny Cohen sticker does work. And yeah, and if anybody out there wants to talk about consumer, I'm open to it and would love any conversation around it.
Yeah. Oh, I could keep asking about consumer. Okay, one final last question. What are we gonna see from a consumer trend? You talked about fashion, femtech, all of that. Is there anything that we're going to see from a macro perspective that we haven't seen yet this year, or a micro perspective that's just gonna blow our minds? Is there anything?
Look, I mean, the one thing we do, because you asked so in the beginning, you said anti tech, anti AI is a trend, right? And we're going to see a lot of that, right? People are going to look for, not AI music, not AI art, not
Yeah.
AI people.
Yeah.
You
Watch
know,
out, everybody.
humanity's going to fight back a little bit. It's going to happen.
Go humanity. And for all the listeners out there, there's a lot to take away from this conversation. So, Danny, thank you so much. I'm wishing you a wonderful week ahead and look forward to getting you back on the show in, who knows, maybe towards the end of the year, early next year. This podcast is going to keep going.
I would love that, B. That'd be fantastic. Just
Yeah,
say
thank
when.
yeah, thank you so much. Have a great day and a great week ahead. Thank you.
Bye.